Hey everybody, it's Angela and I'm back with another process video. And on this one, I am using this new little mini collection that I got at Tuesday Morning last week. So this is kind of my new product that's inspiring me, and the rest of it I'm going to pull from my stash and use a lot of older products. And what inspired me about this is because I knew Father's Day was coming up and the color palette seemed to have a masculine feel to me, and I loved the camera theme and stuff like that. It was a totally different color palette than I usually use, which inspired me as well. And so since the paper has a camera theme to it, I went through all of my stamps and pulled out everything camera related. And so I'm going to use some of those. And I have an older picture of my dad. It was a black and white picture that I did pull into Photoshop and kind of colorize to have a little bit more brown tones to it so it would match the collection really well. And I love the picture. It was taken like in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was a picture my brother had taken. He liked to do photography, had a small darkroom and stuff, so I wanted to use that. And these are some tidbits from my stash that I've had sitting there. I've been wanting to do a little camera related mini album. So I have this dish that I've been putting camera stuff in, and I thought, you know what? I'm sure I'll do that mini album at some point, but until then, I'm going to dip into these little stash items that I have. And I actually go through and find even more stuff later, and I'll show you that. Now, I did have to go into my stash also for some gray and black cardstock because they didn't have any in this kit. Like I said, it's a mini theme kit. And at first I thought, you know what, I'm going to use some of these strips and fussy cut them out of the paper, but I don't actually wind up using those. But I do fussy cut these cameras, and I wind up using quite a few of these on the layout. I wanted to make sure to at least to get 3 of the reddish colored ones and then some of the green and some of the gray. So I'm not going to make you watch me fussy cut these out, but it's a great resource if they put a paper in there that you can fussy cut more embellishments out of. So there I am doing one of the red cameras that I want to include on this layout. And the other one's also really deep red, and then there's kind of more of that light kind of pink and red. So there's what I fussy cut. And then I decided, you know what, I thought about doing mixed media, but I just didn't want to get that messy. So I thought I'd go ahead and pull out some stencils and ink and use those in tandem with my stamps. So I pulled out some different patterns, and my idea was to make kind of a triangle of a stenciled stamped background, kind of a triangle that goes from the right and points to the left. And you'll see that as I start building it. That was what was in my mind. So I pull out this dot stencil that I've had for a long time. I love this thing. And I'm just going to start with doing some of these larger dots. And this is where I'm kind of thinking about the triangle that I want to create. And there you can see I'm kind of making it point over to the left, and then my photograph is going to go more toward the right in the larger section. So I put quite a bit of that. Bring my picture back and kind of see if I have enough stuff sticking out, because I know that I'm going to wind up covering a lot of it up. This little stencil has like 6 patterns on it, or 9, and it had these little circles, so I'm adding some of those. They're kind of like an outlined circle. Has these little stripy things, so I'm putting a little bit of that. And then I think I use a third one on there as well. Yeah, this one down here that's kind of a little bit of a burst, like a starburst. And I just kind of put it so maybe a few of the starbursts will wind up peeking out from behind the photograph. And then I go ahead and use these tiny dots as well. I just kind of want to thicken it up, and then I'm going to put some of my stamps. First I go for this stamp here that's just like a splatter type stamp. I'm going to put that so it kind of peeks out from each side of my photograph. I wind up covering a lot of this up, just like mixed media. You do all this background and then you wind up covering a lot of it, but still a lot of it peeks out. It gives you that the layers and the interest. So you never know when you're doing it which parts are going to show or not. So you kind of just have to go and do the whole thing. So there I use a couple of those just to put some splatters on. And let's see. And now I'm going to go into the actual camera stamps instead of just patterns. And then this is one of the larger ones. It's just out of my stash. I don't have the packaging on that one, so I don't know who it came from. Let's see here. This one is from Little Blue Button Stamps. And it has this cute film strip in there that I want to use. I really like that. It really lends another texture besides just cameras. And there's a lot of sentiments on there too, so I pull out the word photo. And I'm going to stamp that in a few places as well, just put a few words. And then that one's a paper tray ink, but the stamped image was a lot bigger than the picture on the front, so I didn't wind up using that. It was a little bit too large. This one is what is it, Allison Kreft? Is that the name of that company? I had never used these before, and they were in my stash, so I had to pull the backer off to get it on there. So I was really happy to be able to use these, and I love how they stamped really good images. I love that camera. I think that one winds up still showing at the end. And this click click I thought was really cute. So I'm liking how it's coming together. Now I have a whole bunch of little tiny cameras that I'm going to sprinkle around. So I take that one, which is the tiniest one, and then I think that was like a Studio G stamp. And then I've got this one, which is just like an outline of a camera. And this is on my mind's eye. It's also got this really nice size black camera. So I'm going to sprinkle a few of those around as well. So I'm really liking how it's coming together, and I haven't made too much of a mess. I just didn't feel like getting the sprays out. You know, sometimes I'm fine with that, but you know, today I just kind of wanted to use my stencils and stamps. I have a lot of great tools. I have to remind myself how many great tools I have and to pull them out and play with them. So I put this Polaroid camera, which I want to have just kind of peeking out. I didn't get a great stamped image, so I had to lean over there and try to get it matched up. And it's only going to just poke out on the left-hand side of the photo a little bit. And then I wanted some more of those film strips from Little Blue Button Stamps. So I go ahead and put those on. And I had stamped that first one and then realized it wasn't going to show once my photo was on there, so I stamped it again. And so there, I think that's, yeah, I just clean up a few of my stamps real quick. And I really like how that's coming together. Other than this right here, I didn't have anything else in mind except to pull, you know, some of my fussy cut items and some of my stash items out. So I'm kind of looking, I want to do it like a visual triangle with the pink and red. So I want to have those spread on different corners. And I know I want to cluster at that kind of top right and then one over to the left, but I'm not sure if I want it to be along the bottom of the photo or in two separate clusters. So I'm kind of just playing around with that. Now these are some acetate kind of like photo strips. And then this is some Tim Holtz, one of those little canisters of acetate photo strip. And I really wanted to make this kind of flow and curl and put a bunch of embellishments in it. So you'll see how I get it to do that here in a minute. But this other one has some little things I had to punch out to get the kind of the holes that the gears go into. And I only need to punch them out of one side because I'm going to kind of slip it underneath my photo. I kind of tear it there a little bit, but that's okay. I have stuff stacked on it. So yeah, I just want that one to kind of go along the right. And to make that Tim Holtz film strip kind of curl around and loop and stay and flatten out a little bit, because it was a little bit too dimensional as it was. So I just kind of took my heat tool and just melted a little bit. And when you do that, it'll hold that shape and it kind of flattens out a little bit, so it's not it doesn't stick up off the page quite as much. And I think that once I put it in a page protector, that'll, you know, hold it down even more. But yeah, I want to be able to kind of stick embellishments all around and through that. So I want it to kind of curl around on the left, then go over my photo, and then curl again over on the right. And so I kind of figure out how I want it to curl, and then I kind of mess it up, and you'll see how I fix it later. It kind of buckled on me, and I was like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm going to have a cluster there anyway, so I try to fold it a different direction. And I wasn't too happy, but I thought, oh, I can make it work. So now I'm just kind of looking to see how that's going to fit on there. So I like that. And now I figure I better start gluing some of this down. So I'm going to put some dimensional foam behind my photograph just to lift that up a little bit. And I just use a little bit of that ATG gun underneath that acetate piece. And then I know that my photo will kind of hold the rest of it down. The one thing about putting the wet glue on the back of my photo and stuff was that gray cardstock that I used is a really cheap, thin cardstock, and it wants to really buckle just from having that little bit of glue on there. So I do wind up matting this at the end onto a heavier piece of cardstock, so it's not an issue. But yeah, it kept wanting to kind of curl up, so it was a little bit hard for me to fasten everything else down when my cardstock was kind of buckling there. So I kind of figure out how I want my things to go, and then I'm just going to use my tiny attacher to hold stuff down. And then I know I want that camera there, and the way I'd curled it wasn't working for the camera to go over the top of it, so I just kind of cut it off. And then I have to open my tiny attacher there and put a mouse pad underneath in order to do some stapling at the inside of my page. And my staples actually fell out while I was opening it up, and so I had to put the little staples back in. But there I just put 2 staples, and then I just use I wind up using my bone folder to press down the little edges. And then I go ahead and staple the other side down. So I'm liking how that's looking. And again, I'm not quite sure how I want to do those clusters. Now I have that little film strip piece, which was like, it's like a real heavy chipboard. And I wind up cutting that in half. And then I'm also looking at these white acetate cameras. And I do have white in my photo and white in some of the other embellishments. So I want to go ahead and include at least one on there, just to pull a little bit of white into the embellishment clusters. You can see that camera right there that I'm moving. That is actually a wood veneer camera that was out of my stash. I got it from an Etsy seller years ago, and he would put photographs on top. They were almost Mod Podged on the top of the wood veneer, so they're really cool. And I have a set of vintage cameras of his that I hadn't used one of them, so yeah, I was glad to be able to use one. They're so cute and stuff that, yeah, I've been hoarding them. So now is the time to hoard it on this page of my dad that I want to keep. And so, you know, now I know it's used and in a safe place. Now this acetate one, I just ran through my Xyron to put the glue on the back so that you can't really see the glue. And then I stick that fussy cut camera underneath the film strip. And then I'm going to put some above the film strip. And then I also have that flare button that says smile, and it had just the right color of kind of pinky red color to match those cameras. So I put that camera half up on foam tape so it's the same height as my photo. And then glue that one down as well. I'm not sure where I'm going to put the flare at that point. I look at these other camera ones, but they had too much of different colors, and I really wanted to stay in this color theme. So then I decide, yeah, I want to tuck these other embellishments under those other film strips. And then I still wanted the film strip to curl out on that other side, and since I had to cut it off and I stuck that camera, I'm just going to put a piece of it so it looks like it comes out from the other side of the camera and curls back over. So I still get the look of it. It's just now I use two pieces to do it. So I really like that, how it curls back over that camera. I also have this, I think it's a Momenta metal piece. It has a film strip. I don't wind up using the film strip part, but I do use the silver metal camera. And then I thought, you know what, I want to put a title on this. And so I'm kind of going through, I was hoping there would just be a nice black cursive title of like memory or memories or something like that, but I didn't have anything like that. So I was like, And I'm thinking, you know, what else can I add to this? Because I was challenging myself not to use flowers, you know, to make this, not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes I challenge myself because I wind up putting flowers on everything. So I was really trying not to. Just for the fun of it. And so I really want to make it full looking still. So now I'm gluing down that wood veneer piece, gluing down a couple more of these fussy cut cameras. That one's half up on foam tape. So I decide to go through my puffy stickers, and I pull this one out. I do wind up taking it off later because it's the only round puffy sticker I use. But I go through all my puffies, and Shamel does have quite a few camera images. She usually always includes a camera image of some sort. And she had these pinky red ones that actually worked really well with the pinky red in the collection. And then I also found these, I think these might be Amy Tan, that's a white camera with black lines on it, which fit perfect too. Now I'm still looking for something to use as a title, and I found this as an old Cosmo Cricket, and there was one word strip on there that I really loved, and it really gave kind of a shelf, or it grounded that whole embellishment cluster that goes off to the left there. So I loved how that worked out. So I thought I would just use Love You, but it was just too big and clunky looking. I don't know. I wanted to nestle it into my embellishment cluster, but I couldn't get that to work. So I put it on some wax paper so I could just really move it around and move it around. I just couldn't find out where it would work very well. So I thought, you know what, I'd like to have a few more sentiment strips, and maybe I just won't put an actual title on this. I'll put some journaling. So I pull out my Tim Holtz Occasions book, and I know it has the black with the white, so I find that XOXO, and then I find a couple things, something about challenges and stuff, like things that my dad would say or does say. My dad is still with me. I had a great Father's Day with him last weekend. And so I thought they were perfect to put on here. And I haven't done journaling on it yet, but I will put some journaling on there of when the picture was taken and everything like that. So here's where I'm going to use this heavy cardstock to mount the photo or the layout on. I really like how that frames everything. And it wasn't quite messy enough, so I decided to put some black splatters on it. So I go ahead and I pull out my black shimmers. I don't know which one it is. This is the dry one that you have to hydrate with water. So I just pull that out. And I want to do splatters, but man, I was having a hard time getting my paintbrush. I think I needed a bigger paintbrush that would hold more liquid. But yeah, I put a bunch of splatters on it, and then I really loved how it turned out. There's no flowers on this, but it still seems full and has some organic feel to it because of that film strip curling through and all the kind of stencils and stamps and splatters that still give it a mixed media look, even though I didn't really have to pull out too many messy sprays except for those black sprinkles at the end. And yeah, I love the different color palette. I have never used a color palette like this, so I really love that mini theme pack from Echo Park. And yeah, a real masculine flair to it as well. So it was really fun to do this. I love the look of it. It's going to be something completely different in my scrapbook album. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You know, if you have any questions or anything, just leave them down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.